People deluded, I'm back again. I've got a special guest here with me. He's an Everton fan. He's my friend right now. He's going to be an enemy for 90 minutes tomorrow. Mike, how you doing, man? You good? Good evening to you,
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah, man. I'm good. I'm good. How are you? To be fair, obviously, this is blessed for me. I massively appreciate it. You're the bigger channel, and it's nice to do collabs with people that I've genuinely watched, genuinely like got tips off and stuff. So thanks for having me on, man. I respect it and appreciate it.
Oh, no, I appreciate you for making time, man, because it was quite a quick turnaround. I watched your stuff. I'm a big fan of you. I mean, whether you support Arsenal or Everton, I'm a fan of real content, people that speak from the heart, and I get that vibe from you. So it only made sense to just simply pick your brains going into this game because I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite scared, man. I'm quite scared. But before we even get into that, let people know where they can find your content and things before we continue.
Yeah. So our YouTube channel is called the Blue Boys Network. It's Boys with a Z. Um, yeah, and just go over on YouTube, find us, on Instagram as well,
I'm
on
gonna find
Twitter,
it. I'm gonna get a link for that as well.
and we're there.
Gonna quickly get a link. I'm gonna get a link. Here we go. I've got a link of your channel. Gonna drop a link in the comments for you guys. Make sure you subscribe. Want to see your subscribers go up? There's a message in the chat for you guys. You lot should be seeing that now. But yeah, man. Oh yeah, people. Before we get into it, please make sure you're hitting the like button. Please make sure you're hitting the like button. It doesn't cost a thing. The best things in life are free. Before we get into Arsenal versus Everton, I want to stay on Everton for a second. What's the mood and the sentiment around Everton fans at the moment? Because you've had a decent season. You've started well. You're going in good form right now. There's been a tiny bit of a blip in between as an outsider looking in. So, what have you made of the season so far from your perspective, man?
It's been weird. It's been weird because Everton have had we were so good at the start of the season. Like we were I was buzzing, like going 5 games unbeaten plus the Carabao Cup game. So it was like 8 games unbeaten, 7 wins, 1 draw. The draw was against Liverpool, beating Tottenham away. I was buzzing. Then all of a sudden we play Southampton, Newcastle, we lose, and I sort of think, okay, it's just a blip. We play Man United at home, we lose, and I sort of sit there and think, oh man. But we've come good after, if you get what I mean. So yeah. I'm hoping that that's just our blip. That's respect, bro. That's just our blip, and now we're stepping into the sort of nitty gritty of the season. We've had our bad moments, and we can push on. Everton's target at the start of the season, Carlo Ancelotti come out and said that he wants Everton to be challenging for the title. Now, realistically, Everton fans know we're not challenging for the title, but at least we want to be challenging for Europe, top 6, maybe Ambition. Top 4. Yeah. And it takes time, but it's good to see where Everton have come from because just like yourselves, and I'm sure you'll ask, Arteta and Ancelotti, this is their weekend where they've been in the jobs 1 year. This weekend, I think Arteta's a year today, and to sit there and see how Everton have progressed from being 17th in the league or whatever it was when he come in to now, that's a madness for Everton. That is a madness. So it's been good for us. We're going to carry on. We're going to be progressive, and the mood around Everton is it's going to take time, but we're happy with where we're going. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I'm almost jealous as a football fan, seeing you, knowing that your club has a collective goal all around. I can't say the same for Arsenal. So I know things change. So I have to ask you, like, what would you class as a good season? May comes. Where do you finish for a good season?
Well, I said at the start of the season, I sort of said I could see Arsenal struggling. And it weren't out of anything particularly critical. I just didn't think
obvious, really.
I thought Gabriel Magalhaes for me could, and he still could be, the signing of the season. Like I massively rate him as a centre back, and obviously we almost signed him. You got him.
He had a medical with you guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And for Magalhaes to come into that team, I thought, Arsenal are going to defensively, they're going to be solid. Aubameyang up front, I thought, he's going to score goals. Lacazette again. It was the midfield that I sort of thought they need someone in the middle of the park who can get the ball from A to C. because
Consistently.
Xhaka's a good midfielder, but he's not a ball carrying midfielder. And I
5-yard
sort of
passes,
sat there
man.
and thought, if you're not going to play Ozil, which I didn't suspect, and he's not a ball carrier anyway, he's a guy who sort of sits in the last 30 yards and picks out that clever pass. I sort of sat there and thought, that's a big blow. Then you sign Partey, and I thought, they've done it. They've done what I said they should, and they've
So did I,
smashed
man.
it. And then I just don't get it. Like, I don't get some of Arteta's tactics. I don't get some of the things Mikel Arteta is doing at Arsenal, the way that he's set up, the way that he's mentioned certain players. I don't get it. And I just think Arsenal fans, and I'm not criticising Arteta because it will come in with time. He's only 36 years old. He's a new manager, blah, blah, blah. But Arsenal fans deserve better. The one thing I have seen from Arsenal fans over this weekend is just love. And for you lot, a massive club like Arsenal, Everton and Arsenal, the only two teams to essentially not be relegated out of the top flight. 110 consecutive seasons in the top flight, etc. And you sort of sit there and you think, what is going on?
What is going on?
And in my opinion, it all stems from, even before then, this has been like a problem for Arsenal for ages, because Usmanov clearly loved Arsenal, clearly did. He wanted to buy out Stan Kroenke. That didn't happen. Stan Kroenke then has managed to turn the fans against the board, I would say, in a majority. I would say it's probably 80% would happily Stan Kroenke leave, if not more. And Arteta's, although he's been backed with players, that, it's not like you're going to Real Madrid or Barcelona or any of these teams and getting a big boy out of their team and saying, yeah, we're Arsenal Football Club, going, stamping your chest. It's just a mess for Arsenal, man. I feel really sorry for the fans. And although, look, fingers crossed, you don't win this weekend, I do hope that he turns it around and you challenge him, because I predicted that Arsenal would finish just below Everton, and I predicted that Everton would finish 5th and Arsenal would finish 6th.
Yeah. I mean,
and that was just because the Arteta and Ancelotti thing. That was just it for me, really.
And I think that's where you can't buy experience with Carlo Ancelotti. And I'd say where Carlo's been helped and Arteta's not, and it's not anything to hit Arteta, it's more to look at, or Carlo, it's more to look at our team, is when I look at Everton, when I look at almost every team we played this week, I see a collective goal. I mean, Carlo Ancelotti probably would have entertained an offer for Arsenal, but if I was him, I would have went to Everton, because the way he's brought in Alan, Doucouré and James, he's not going to get that at Arsenal. He's being backed. I don't feel we're being backed. I feel the little money that is available, this is where I look beyond Kroenke and I look at the individuals and misspending it. I actually like Pepe, but at the end of the day, 72 million, we're not seeing it. Lacazette, I like him. Hasn't been worth 50 odd million. Xhaka, Mustafi, this is all mismanagement. So I feel it's difficult to blame one singular pillar at the club, but ultimately, in the same way footballing results lie with the manager, for me, the overall ethos of a club lies with the owner. Like you said about Usmanov, the guy was begging to be involved greater at Arsenal. There's got to be a reason. He said, okay, cool, I'm going to pack up and I'm going to go to Everton, because there's ambition with you guys. You lot might, like you said, Carlo might not get the league. He's no idiot. He knows getting the league right now is probably punching for Everton. But if you aim for the moon and you end up at the stars, there's nothing wrong with that. I wanted to ask. Go on.
No, exactly. You're spot on. Yeah, Ancelotti. The biggest thing Ancelotti's got to do with Everton, and we still lack it. And this is again. We'll talk about the game, no doubt. But this is where Everton fans have a worry when we start playing well, when we play at home, and then all of a sudden we do what we call an Everton, and we Everton it, which is basically we fuck it. Basically, we lose. we absolutely we lose a game that we expect to win, and this is the changing mentality. Carlo Ancelotti, he doesn't big up a team we're playing against. He doesn't big us up. He doesn't big up the team. He just simply says, we're going out to win.
Work hard and make it happen.
Exactly. And that could be playing Sheffield United or playing Manchester City. It doesn't matter. Everton are going out to win, and he'll set up whatever way he feels will get that result. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but he hasn't got the Ancelotti squad at Everton yet. And that's the same with Arteta. Arteta has not got the Arteta squad that he wants. He did well last season, Arteta, to be fair to him. I thought he'd be backed a little bit more than he has. Yes,
So did I.
Magalas, Partey, good signings, no doubt about it. But it wasn't enough. Yeah, it wasn't enough. And that's why this game's going to be interesting, because you've got two completely contrasting teams in both probably style, management, and also mood.
Sentiment, you're 100% right. Everton fans, you're motivated. You're seeing there's one thing people connected to the club talking, there's another thing doing it. You're seeing ambition, you're seeing something to get behind. I've almost, to a degree, some of it is down to Arteta, some of it is down to the club. To a degree, I've almost just got blind faith in Arteta, in that he'll somehow be able to perform within the context of not really being backed, of not really having a forward-thinking mentality or ethos as a football club. And I say, I look at it, it's almost like both roles were similar in that you've got two clubs, they want to do better than what they have. And I've seen it with Everton in the same way I saw it with your neighbours Liverpool, same way I see it with Wolves now, and even Leicester. There's a collective goal and there's an ambition to move into it. I wanted to ask you, what is your, as an Everton fan, how do you lot feel about Arteta anyways, as a player?
It's very mixed now. So a lot of people wouldn't believe this, because I am a massive man, as you can see. I look like a potato. But when I was younger, I used to play football at a good level. So I played Birmingham City, I played for Aston Villa. You can tell I'm not a Scouser, my dad is, etc. And he was my inspiration. Like, I played football the Arteta way. So I was calm on the ball. I was composed. I could pass. I could shoot from distance. I never felt rushed. I loved Arteta for that. And Everton definitely had the best years out of Arteta. He goes to Arsenal. Everton no Everton fan could begrudge the man a move. He didn't get in a Spain squad because he played for Everton, in my opinion. He didn't get the credit he deserved Premier League-wise because he played for Everton, and he didn't move on to a bigger club. He got that move to Arsenal, and it went okay. I don't think he was brilliant for you, but he certainly wasn't the worst. Yeah, and there was one particular game at the Emirates, and I'm pretty sure it might have been 1-1 or anyway. One of Everton's midfielders went into a tackle, and Mikel Arteta went up to the ref and was going like that, basically saying to send him off. And at that point, Everton fans lost it with Arteta, because although it might have been a bad tackle, it might have been a yellow card, a red card, whatever, a lot of Everton fans remember that moment and him saying, why would you want to get the man that essentially helped you in your career, whatever, get him sent off for a mistake? Now, obviously, football fans are football fans. I respect the fact that he's gone into a tackle. He plays for a new club, but his loyalty is to Arsenal. So I'm fine with Arteta. I'm cool with him. I respect him. I like him. I still like him. There's a lot of Everton fans that don't. There's a lot of Everton fans that have got no time for Arteta. And that's a real shame, because he gave us 8-9 years, fantastic service for such a, he weren't an expensive signing, but he cost us £1 million.
That's quite a signing, really, for what he gave you. And I mean, it's interesting you to hear that, because if I didn't ask you that and you didn't say that, I never would have known. That's why I couldn't really gauge it. I didn't know if he was a fan favorite. I didn't think he was quite a legend, because as an Arsenal fan, it's difficult, because he's not really anyone to us in a nice way. As a man, purely as a player, he isn't really anybody to me, really. He came here at a different time in his career. I mean, the best moment for me of Arteta, I'm sure he scored against Man City in a victory at the Emirates. That's the best moment I've had. That's literally the best moment I've had. I'm not going to sit here and say I thought he'd be a manager and things like that. But it's funny how these things worked out. I would have thought he would have at least done some coaching badges or done something with Everton. Did you feel he possibly would come back as a coach the minute you started hearing about him being a coach and things like that? Because you could argue with the way you're being backed with Usmanov. I'm not going to say Arteta's a better fit than Carlo, but along with that model where we would probably need Carlo more, because we need more experience equaling instant results.
Yeah. So even when Arteta retired from Arsenal, I expected him to come to Everton in a coaching capacity. He didn't. He went to Manchester City. He wanted to learn from Pep Guardiola. You can't argue with that. Do you get what I mean? Like,
you can't.
Learning from Pep Guardiola or David Moyes. Come on. But when this job come up, and it was literally between Everton and Arsenal, I genuinely believed you would get Ancelotti and Arteta would come to Everton. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why it's the way around that it is. Everton are paying Ancelotti £11.5 million a year. That's a lot of money for a manager. I think he's the 4th highest paid manager in the world.
But that's why that's where I kind of see why. That's where I kind of see why, because it's a bit like Spurs and Jose. You're not going to give these outlays if you're not going to back the man. You know, like I said
Yeah,
at the
exactly.
start, I don't think if Carlo is at Arsenal, he gets Alan, Decore, and James. And I think Carlo would have listened, but why would he? There's no reason for him to put his CV or anything that could potentially damage his managerial CV on the line for Arsenal. Where I look at Everton, I look at ambition. You know, you went out and got him James. Now he probably is a big attraction for James to come to the club, but you met him halfway. So I kind of understand it, and the budget. I think Arteta is more of an easier personality. He hasn't really got a CV to go in there demanding things. I don't know what's changed, because a year before he was offered the job and he didn't take it. I don't know if certain assurances have now happened or what, but that's what I believe that happened.
Yeah, I think you're spot on as well. But I think as an Everton fan, when we were talking about Arteta and Ancelotti, I think Everton fans expected Arteta. We expected Arteta to come into Everton and us to be the stepping stone for him to get the Barcelona job or the, whatever job that he wanted, basically. And it was just mad that it didn't happen like that. It was mad that Ancelotti, I don't even think he necessarily chose Everton over Arsenal. I don't think you ever went for Ancelotti. And that's the bit I find mad. Like, what, and then now, for example, I saw that Arteta was linked with so Edu come out recently and said that Arteta's the manager and you're going to back him, etc. But before then, I saw a lot of Arsenal fans were probably like, yeah, look, if he's going to go, he's going to go. Like, you've lost 1-0 to Burnley at home. Yeah, that's it. That's enough. And I saw a lot of Arsenal fans saying Arteta have got to go. Obviously, there was that viral video as well of that lad in the car going absolutely nuts. And then I'm hearing Allegri. I'm hearing people shouting about Allegri coming to Arsenal. And I sort of sat there and I went, Arsenal need a manager like Allegri, in my opinion. They need that experience, but I don't think the board will go and get him for the fans. I don't get it.
You don't, because they know, I'm not saying Arteta is a puppet, but again, I just feel Arteta is an easier person to kind of control. I don't think Carlo Ancelotti is going to put up with being told, because let's be honest, Arteta knew the sort of business we're looking to do in the market. He didn't wake up and just say party. I think Carlo is not putting up for this. Allegri, he's gone from trying to, I would love Allegri. I know people get him for defensive stuff and all of this, but we're not playing good football. We might as well try something else. I don't think he's putting up with this. I feel Arteta will go, well, okay, I can do this. I think there's certain demands, and obviously these guys are, they've achieved a lot in the game. That's where I think Arteta's shot himself in the foot. I feel the board have said to Arteta, just as much as we want you, you should want this, because you're the only one that's going to benefit. Whether you're a successor at Arsenal or not, you're going to have a whole load of experience, and I doubt that he's ever going to take a job which is as turbulent as this Arsenal squad. In that, the squad is one thing, but the whole structure of the squad and the club, that's why I have problems. I feel sorry for Arteta, but I just feel he's an easier person to control. He's a young man. They probably sold him the sort of dream of, and the carrot of, you're going to be here long term. Obviously, no one's going to be like Wenger and Alex Ferguson, but there's probably hints of that. And personally, for Arteta, I don't know what's gone wrong, because again, it probably was, in hindsight, a new manager coming in, and we saw a bounce in the performance last year that ended with winning a couple trophies. But something for me, when I look at the players' form, the tactics, the way he was passing to now, something's happened in the summer. And in small indirect ways, Arteta kind of alludes to it. Like even the press conference before Southampton, he was saying even when we won the cups, there was a lot of hard moments off the field that you don't necessarily know about. So it made me think, what really is happening here?
Yeah, and that's what's difficult for Arsenal, because I I sort of sat there and I sort of think, I don't necessarily think Arteta's lost the dressing room.
I don't either, and that's the weird thing.
And that's the bit I don't get. So it's almost like the players will play for Arteta, and the board will back Arteta to a degree, but they won't back him enough to get the players that he's got in his dressing room to where they deserve to be. That rhymes. Oh, God, God, I've turned into 50 Cent.
It's gospel, man. You're preaching, man. I feel every word of what you just said.
I want to see teams like Everton, like Arsenal. I'll go even further, like Aston Villa, these traditional, proper run clubs, traditionally won better clubs. Instead of the Chelseas of this world, the Manchester Cities now, it's difficult for me to say that because Everton have spent £500 million in 5 years on complete trash. And it's only now that we're starting to get a decent team. I mean, this is how Everton have Evertoned it. Tell me a team that goes from having John Stones, Ross Barkley and Romelu Lukaku as their spine to a team that up until last season had Gylfi Sigurdsson, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who had scored 6 goals in his Premier League career, and a centre-back pairing of dumpness, you know. And Everton needed Ancelotti more than Ancelotti needed Everton. And that's why we've had to say to him, here's the cash. And I just don't necessarily think Arsenal are going to do that. Yeah, I just don't think Arsenal will do that with Arteta, and that's going to be the blow for Arsenal fans. And I respect Arsenal fans. I just feel really sorry for you at the minute. It's rough. It's rough.
And you said it there, man. And that's where what I don't understand about Arsenal is that, okay, I do think sometimes you have to spend money. When you see a Gabriel or Partey, you need to put the money on the table and just get it done. But at the same time, if you know you want to be self-sufficient, if you know you haven't got money, why don't you scout better? Why don't you have a better model? I don't really understand the profile of player we're going with. We're trying to get shortcuts with, the free signings of Willian, Kolasinac and players like that, and it's costing us in the long run. 1 minute you're buying David Luiz, and then you're saying you want to do Hayland FC, our academy. I really don't get it. You mentioned Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Why? Like, again, he's made a lot of people eat humble pie. Like you mentioned, at a point he's scoring 6 goals. He's on 11 now. What's happened to him? How has it happened? How has he become this?
But it just makes me laugh. It makes me laugh. Dominic Calvert-Lewin started last season well under Silva. To be fair, he scored, I think it was like 7 goals before Christmas, and we sort of thought, yeah, this is better from DCL. He's scoring more goals, and literally the end of the season before that. So while Marco Silva's still in charge, I was going, send him back to Sheffield United on loan. Get rid of him. I'm done. I'm finished. He's 22 years old. He ain't going to make it in the Premier League, blah, 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 blah. Carlo Ancelotti has come in, and the guy has scored something like 22 goals in 34 games for Everton since Ancelotti's been in. And you put that in comparison, he scored 16 goals in 95 beforehand. The reason why Dominic Calvert-Lewin has all of a sudden stepped up and become this man is Carlo Ancelotti. There is no other explanation for the goals. And the first thing Carlo Ancelotti said when he walked into this club was, I wanted Dominic Calvert-Lewin when I was manager at, I don't know, someone beat Napoli. He wanted Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Yeah, and I sat there and went, why the hell would you want? He was dumb. Like, it was it was awful. And he said, because the only thing Dominic needs to improve is his timing in the box. And honestly, within a week of him saying that, he scores a hat-trick after the first game of the season. He scores against Tottenham. And you sort of sit there and you think, my man scored 6 goals in 2 games or 3 games. Then he starts playing in the Carabao Cup, gets in the England team. And then when you actually look at it, Dominic Calvert-Lewin has scored something like 16 goals in 15 games this season in total.
Madness.
He's just come of age. But what's been really weird is how Richarlison's changed, because Richarlison was, in my opinion, the best natural finisher, the more instinctive goal scorer, and there's somebody that had a bit more to his game, i.e. the legs, the pace, the strength, the bit of snide
here and there.
Yeah. But, and look, Richarlison going down under tackles, etc., maybe buys a few more fouls, etc., than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. All of that.
Yeah.
And he's all of a sudden become provider. And it's been weird to see how they've both transitioned. And Everton without one or the other is a massive miss. Like, it genuinely is. And we felt that when Richarlison was missing after he got sent off against Liverpool. Them 3 games were awful without him. It really was.
How do you that sets me up for my next question? How do you line up against Arsenal? Because I know you've played a bunch of formations. Again, if I was Carlo Ancelotti and I'm looking at it with my Arsenal cap, you go Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin up front. Let it do what you need to do in the air. Let them win flick-ons, and then you just deliver the ball in the box. So how would you line up against us? What are you looking? What sort of weaknesses are you looking to capitalize on?
Yeah, so what Everton do, and they'll do this every game, is Everton will set up, for example, a 4-4-2 or a 4-3-3, for example. So they might start. So they might start with Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the middle. On the left, they'll start with Iwobi or the right Iwobi, and on the left, Richarlison, etc. In the midfield, they'll have Sigurdsson, and they usually have two ball-winning players like Decore and Allen, and they've both got different jobs. Allen wins the ball, can carry it, and Decore is better at carrying and gets us playing forward.
The final third sort of stuff.
Yeah. Then we usually have wing backs. Luca Dean will be pushing up on the left, and Coleman will be pushing up on the right, and then Allen will drop in when we get to a certain length. You'll see. So Everton are completely like. In my opinion, there's not another team in the league that play like Everton because it's really sophisticated.
I'd go with that.
And for example, when we play against Arsenal, you'll see that Everton, they will change formation every 5 minutes.
Well, you lot weird, man. That's what I was watching. You lot weird in a good way.
Like against Leicester, for example, we started the game as a 4-5-1. We then allowed the flat back four to sit back, just chill, just take all the pressure from Leicester. Leicester had a couple of early opportunities. And then as Leicester are sort of constantly hitting us, we pick the gaps in between their midfield and defence. And then Carlo will say to a player, go and sit in that gap. So that player will go and sit in that gap, and that unlocks whatever we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, Arsenal, in my opinion, losing Gabriel is huge, like massive.
Our best centre half in the air is now out of this game.
Yeah. And what Everton are going to try and do is they'll probably sit back. They'll probably allow Arsenal the ball. We've won the last two games. We've only 25% of the ball. We'll let Arsenal have the ball, carry the ball forward as much as they want. Let Pepe carry it to the right-hand side, stand him up against a Godfrey, try and put the ball in the box. You've got to out-jump Michael Keane and Yuri Mina, 6'5" centre-halves each. Aubameyang scored ahead of those, so let you have some faith. Then on the other side, you've got Mason Holgate, composure, relaxed. He will stand up Kieran Tierney when he comes down the side. But what they'll do is they'll leave Iwobi and Richarlison either side of the pitch. So as soon as we've got that ball, they'll pick them out.
And you're off.
And your fullbacks are still in our half, and that's how Carlo, in my opinion, will probably play against Chelsea. Yep. And I noticed you pop it up earlier about DCL. DCL in the air is you all would have saw the jump, for example, and the headers that he scored.
And you lose all them guys as well, man.
Yeah, and you losing Gabriel to losing Gabriel. It's going to give players like Rob Holding a really tough time. Or whoever plays at the back for you, it's going to give them a really tough time.
And that's why, for me personally, I go 3 at the back. It's like, whereas the thing where I personally have always felt Arsenal's this improvement talk is overrated. Yes, there's a bit more being switched on, but just because you're trash and now you're a bit less trash, that's not an improvement. It's like what Arsenal fans we do is we look at how poor we was and we think any improvement is a good enough improvement. I'm not saying don't quantify that, but we've got to be a bit better. I feel you look at our lack of clean sheets, we're not scoring. It's a bit of a problem for me personally. I go 3 at the back. It's not rocket science. If you've got bad defenders, just crowd out, just try and crowd it. We ain't got no creativity in midfield. We might as well just, box to box. Let's just try and match them where we can. Let's just try and clear our lines. And this is where I'm looking at my team, because including going into the Burnley game, this is the most important 10 days of us. And you look at Burnley, balls into the box. That's the only way they can score. You look at Southampton, they're known for crosses. They've got people like Vestergaard. You lot are lacking some players, but you don't necessarily have to be a crossing team, but you're playing to certain players' strengths. So you need to be at it. And that's where I'm looking at my players to stand up to be carried, because we have more to lose. Even looking at the Southampton game, it was a point gain for us and 2 points dropped for them. But you mentioned Iwobi. Talk to me as an Everton fan around Iwobi, because I personally feel Arsenal do terrible business. That's one place we've actually done very well in that regards for the getting the money we did.
Outrageous! So when look, listen to this. This is Everton again. Listen to this. So deadline day last season, Everton are sitting there thinking, right, we're getting. So this is under Marco Silva. We're getting Wilfried Zaha, because we put in that £60 million bid and we're all sitting there gassed. Then we're going after players like Decore, and we're going after a centre-half. We're trying to get Kurt Zuma back on loan from Chelsea because he had a really good season the season before. So we're all sitting there absolutely gassed, buzzing. The next thing you know, 2 minutes before deadline, Everton have signed Iwobi for 27 million, rising to 35. My phone got dashed so hard across the room that I swear I almost killed my own dog, man, because it was madness. At the time, it looked madness, and I ended up arguing with Everton fans who were going, "It's a good signing. He plays well for Arsenal." I sat there and went, "The man has scored 10. He's scored 10 goals in 4 years. We need goals from midfield, and you're
going to sign him."
Yeah, the last 4 games, Iwobi's been fantastic
in that little wing back row, isn't it?
Well, it's been weird because the last 4 games. So what happened was he come into the team and he had an okay game, and we sort of thought, yeah, okay, he'll come in when James isn't playing, and he can, whatever, fine, cool, put him on the right. Yeah, he looked good on the right. He started being creative, tried to beat people, using his pace and his skill and his strength. And I sort of sat there and thought, yeah, do you know what? Considering he can't run properly, in my opinion, very flat-footed, he did all right. The next thing you know, Carlo Ancelotti sticks him at left wing back the week after against Fulham, and he looked awful, like dead. I wouldn't wish him on anyone. And we sort of sat there, and I criticised Ancelotti. I said, why move a player that played well on the right wing to left wing back? It doesn't make sense to me. And a lot of people criticise Carlo for it. Anyway, the week after, Carlo moves him back to the right wing and plays that flat back 4 behind him. So he doesn't have to worry about really defending. And the way that Everton set up, Mason Holgate will sit there, and that doesn't allow Tierney to cross the ball into our 6-yard box. So the crosses come in to the edge of our box. And when they're at the edge of our box, that's where Allen and Takole are. So Everton are completely mapped for wherever a player's there. But it leaves Iwobi with legs. And the one thing Iwobi can do, because his first touch is dead, is kick a ball forward and chase it. He's like the 8-year-old in the playground that just kicks a ball forward and catches it because he's quick.
Literally.
And that's what he's been doing, and he's been dangerous. I've been calling him Messi. On my watch-alongs, I've been calling Alex Iwobi Messi. He has been fantastic. He's been so improved under Carlo Ancelotti in the last 4 games that genuinely, at this point, I don't drop him.
And considering Theo scored against us, you'd back him to do that.
Yeah, but I still don't think he's worth £35 million, and I still think you had our trousers down. But he's getting there. He's getting there.
He's getting there bit by bit. I actually like Iwobi, man. He's one of them players that are just not quite good enough, but you've got a soft spot for. I feel one thing that didn't help him is almost happening now is that I think he probably plays best as a 10, but is he a 10? Is he a right winger? He's playing fullback now. It's that typical Arsenal thing in that there's a player who can play everywhere, but you're a jack of all trades, master of none. Why didn't it work for Theo?
Oh God, I don't even know where to start with Theo Walcott.
It sounded like me a few years ago.
So Theo Walcott he come into Everton when Everton had the slowest team I've ever seen in my life. I'm telling you now, if the Titanic only just grazed that iceberg, Everton were flying into it. We couldn't turn, we couldn't do anything quickly, and Theo Walcott would get the ball. And all he would do is just ease the pressure on defence because he just run. He's quick. He could beat people. He could jink past people. Theo Walcott allowed for Koeman to just have a bit more time at Everton. At Sam Allardyce. He brought him in. He brought in Walcott. He brought in Cenk Tosun, and he just thought that if he gets it, Walcott who can run, he can pass it to Cenk Tosun, and they'll score goals. And look, that didn't really happen. But what Walcott did was allow Everton to go forward quicker. However, halfway through that season, it's all shit. Sam Allardyce is sacked at the end of that season, and we bring in Marco Silva, and he plays a different style of football. And it starts all right. It starts okay. And in the end, you then start realising that Walcott isn't actually a footballer anymore. Walcott is literally...
He's never been a footballer.
He's like Bambi on ice. Like you give him a ball, Yeah, exactly. His first touch is dead out, but you can't necessarily criticize his heart for whatever team he plays for. But defensively, he was awful. Attacking wise, he was. Look, he scored some the occasional important goal for us, but as a JSNO7 says there, didn't have a brain. And that's what killed him. He could have genuinely been at 16 years old when you signed him. He could have genuinely been like a Raheem Sterling, one of the best wingers, midfield forwards in the world. Facts. He never made that because he was so hell bent on playing up front for you lot.
When to still be a right winger now. What was it all for?
Yeah. And I sit there and I just think you've literally wasted 15 years of your life trying to play as a striker. And when you did play as a striker, I remember you playing for Arsenal as a striker and missing an open goal from a yard out.
Exactly. His best games came on the wing. Like I look at Liverpool in the Champions League. I look at even against what was it, Chelsea at the Bridge. He's had some good highlights, but his whole career was, are you a striker or are you a winger? And did that even still happen ever?
I remember him coming on for Arsenal in a Champions League game. I can't remember who you were playing. And he come on and he carried the ball from his own 18-yard box to the other end of the pitch, having beaten about 8 players when you were 1-0 up, and he just needed to keep the ball. And I sat there and thought, this lad, he's fantastic. How long can you get over time? Because he come to Everton and he was worse. However, he's gone to Southampton, he's gone home, and my man's turned into an informed like Neymar. My man can get the ball anywhere on the pitch. The goal he scored against you, like how is he dinking it over Leno?
Yeah. Crazy. And actually the whole build up to it, like I watched the whole thing happen. I was like, one thing you couldn't criticize is his runs, is his movement, but he's never had that decisiveness. He was absolutely decisive. He caught Tierney and Saka in 2 spaces. I don't think Gabriel helped himself. He stepped out for no reason.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
And then but it's crazy. It's crazy. I guess a couple of final questions for you. What would you say the weaknesses in your team?
So if we play with wing backs, if we play with Luka Dean and Coleman, we have the same weakness you do. So if they go forward and the team can see that, they use the pacing behind. Mina and Keane, our centre backs, are not fast. They're not fast. They're not blessed with pace. So if the whole team has stepped forward, we'll get hit on the break. That's what happened against you like last season at the Emirates. I think I said at the time.
Yeah.
Do not allow Aubameyang, Lacazette spacing behind. We did. And if we do that, that's a weakness. Missing Allen's a massive weakness. And equally, look, sometimes Everton players have this tendency to drop heads. And we haven't seen it the last 2 games, but we did see it against teams like Fulham and Burnley and a few teams this season. Manchester United, we went 1-0 up against Manchester United, lose 3-1. So there are weaknesses. But they're weaknesses that Everton can improve. And as an Everton fan, it's nice for us to say that genuinely, I believe we can play any team right now and get a result. I'm not saying we'll win the game, but I'm confident that Carlo would set us with a flat back 4. So how are Liverpool and Manchester City going to play through us? They can't. I'm not saying we're better than them. They will find a way to get through us. They have better players, technically gifted. They would. But you've got to back your team, and it's difficult for me to say that Everton have real weaknesses at the minute, because at the minute we don't. The biggest weakness of Everton, as I mentioned before to you before this stream started, is the mentality, and sometimes they go into games being favourites and bottle it. We did it against Leeds. We did it against Newcastle away. Southampton away was going to be a difficult game, but we thought we'd get a draw. We didn't. These are games that we've bottled before. And this Arsenal game is one of them. A traditional big club. Good players on their day. Can beat any team on their day. Coming to Everton, in form, flying. You expect Everton to win. 2 clean sheets against, 2 of the top 3 this season. The other one was Spurs. Everton have conceded 1 goal against the top 4 this season, but conceded 18 other goals to other teams.
Wow.
And that's what people don't appreciate. Everton's goal difference is horrific because we concede a lot of goals before he made this change to our back four. So Arsenal have sort of got a hope that Coleman comes straight back into this team and he goes forward, and that leaves you the space to get in behind.
Left-hand side.
And that will hurt us, because if the ball goes in the box with Alan not there, you've got the opportunity on the left-hand side of the pitch. We all know Kieran Tierney's delivery is fantastic. We all know that he's got
we just can't score, man. That's our problem.
Yeah.
We just can't put it back in the net.
Yeah, exactly. So we know that you can hurt us, and it just wouldn't surprise me if Everton bottled it. My prediction, I'm sure you're going to ask that. My prediction is Everton win 2-0. My head is saying 2-0. My heart is saying 2-0, but my stomach, the pit of my stomach, is telling me that Everton are going to bottle this and lose 1-0. But we don't talk about the pit of my stomach on my channel, because I've seen there's a few of our subscribers in here, and I'm telling you now, they'll be murdering me on that channel, murdering me.
You're killing me, mate.
Big shout out to Massimo as well, because Massimo's come over for my channel. He's sitting there. He's been active and everything. So respect, Matt, and I'll see you later, bud.
Shout out to him and shout out to all the Everton fans. I was going to ask you your prediction just to end this, but you've already said it, so I'll say mine. What? I guess. Go on.
No. What's your prediction? That's what I was. I'm curious, because it's difficult, because you've got to back your team, but it's hard to back, and I get that. I get it. I've been
Heart. 2-0 Everton. Brain 2-0 Everton. Stomach just hoping for a 1-0 Arsenal. Just I don't care how it goes in. At this point I'll take an own goal. Yeah. I'd love Aubameyang to score just for a little bit of confidence, but nah, man, because what scares me is I'm not being funny, but you've got teams like Burnley can't buy a win. Sheffield United, we're having to turn around in the second half. So when I look at Everton and go off that, we can't have a chance. And for me, where I'm scared about Mikel Arteta is because anytime he's gone against a competent manager or a manager that's been at their team for a while, he struggled. I'll cut him some slack against Hasenhuttl because there was a red card, but prior to that game, we was in it. That's down to the players, of course, but the tactics. Dean Smith, of course, he's not up there with Carlo, but he's been at his team for a while. We didn't have an answer. Second half against Leicester, Brendan Rodgers didn't have an answer. Nuno against Wolves didn't have an answer. Bielsa, okay, cool. There was a red card and it looks good, but similar to the Southampton game, the red card is just an unnecessary talking point because we weren't in it before. And that's where I'm scared, because you're now going against a Carlo Ancelotti side who he's got his imprint. You know he's a good tactician. For me, the players are one. The manager's one thing, but it's the players. Your players are clearly more street smart than us, clearly listening to your manager a bit more. And you mentioned your players at times, they drop their heads. My players love dropping heads. If one thing that annoys me is when we concede. Again, you've conceded, forgive yourself, let's go again. We just pass the buck. Well, my team is looking at a 19-year-old in Bukayo Saka to do things. Like the Southampton game summed it up. That little dribble, no one else is doing that. Other players are just going to pass it or go down. I'm looking at Pepe to do that. And I'm scared. We've got no Partey, and we know you need an engine room. And then he's been stinking up the place in the last 2 games. We've not got no Gabriel, so that means Rob Holding and David Luiz. So the heart rate isn't going to be good for 90. I can't see a win, man. I can't see a win. Like Southampton, I'm taking a point. We need to win. If we don't win, then again, we're going into Chelsea on Boxing Day in dangerous territory. But a point is a good game, a good point for us. If you offer me a point before it, I want us to go for the win, but I'm taking it. But yeah, man, I can't see an Arsenal win. Hopefully it is, but I can't see it, bro.
Yeah, man. Well, look, I respect that, but we will find out at the end of the game, and that, you know, it's going to go one or two ways, isn't it? Everton, I can't see this game being a draw. I either think Arsenal win by a goal or Everton win comfortably. I can't see any middle ground. And it'll just be mad to see. It's for me, it's the moods, you know. Everton going flying, full of confidence. Arsenal on the floor. Will Everton bottle it? Will Arsenal step up?
I don't know, man. It's what scares me is that almost like you said at the start, a year ago we came into this, and it's like, look at the dramatic change of the two teams. Like, we don't look any better, any different. We can talk about winning the FA Cup, but if someone didn't give a crap about football, you showed them the Everton game last season, and you probably showed them this game to come, or any game prior, just the Southampton game. we don't look any different. You know, we don't look any different. We ain't got any more desire. We ain't got any more heart, man. But before I let you go, do you want to plug your channel again?
Yeah, so guys, obviously massive respect if you come over and sub. I sort of set ourselves a target. I said if we can hit 7,500 subs by Boxing Day. So I don't know what we're on at the minute, but if you could go over to the Blue Boys Network and subscribe.
I think
what are we on 7.4?
I think looking at it, so come on, people. There must be 100 people in here that can give them some subscribers. I've put the link in the chat. Please hit them up, people. Get the subscribers up. As you can see, they're honest footballing men. They've got a lot of time for football, and I've enjoyed this chat, man. So obviously we're going to talk again, and I'd love to have you on frequently and whatnot, man. I've got a lot of time for honest individuals, but for now I'm going to leave you, man. Like I said, people, thank you very much for tuning in. Please make sure you hit the like button. Mike, once again, thank you very much for coming through, my guy, man. Take care and see what happens.
Yeah, more than welcome on our channel anytime as well. And obviously after the game, maybe come on our channel and talk about the game.
Yeah, let me know, man. Send me a link and we can talk about it on your channel, man. Just let me know.
Yeah, cool.
All right, people, we're out, man. I've loved having you, but we're out of here, man. Peace.
Yeah, safe.
Safe.